All right, well, welcome to the Wabash Valley Business Podcast. My name's Sam. I own a marketing agency called Solve Don't Sell, where we help companies identify the problem they solve for their ideal customers, and then we create all the marketing material around that. I'm also sitting here with my buddy Shane, who also owns a company called FlexPoint Spaces, and we have a guest today. I will not reveal our guest yet. Shane will do that in a minute, but the point of this podcast is to help businesses in the Wabash Valley thrive. We want to do that in a couple ways. We want to get as many eyeballs on businesses locally as we can, and we want to introduce small business owners and let them share their story. The other way we want to do it is through relationships, and that's where I'm going to hand this off to Shane. He said something to me when I met him back in December, and it was just the importance of relationships in business, and everything is on that, founded on that, and that's important. So my network becomes his network when we form a good relationship. So this podcast can do that because we're going to have conversations and introduce people and let them share some of their story. So let me hand it off to Shane, and then Shane will introduce our very special guest today.
So I heard something one time. They said your network is your net worth. It's very true.
Yeah.
If you'd figured that out when you were 20, you'd be sitting in a different spot probably right now. We wouldn't be sitting in.
Yeah, we didn't. You're saying we didn't figure it out soon enough? Do I still have time?
You still have time.
But do you have time?
I'm figuring it out.
Okay.
Slowly. So we do talk about relationships a lot in business and the importance of those relationships. And I've known Christy for a long time, and she's involved in a lot of things around the city of Sullivan and the community here in the Wabash Valley. I'll let her go into talking about herself a little bit, even though she says she doesn't want to.
Yeah, you've known Christy for a long time. How long have you guys known each other?
Oh, gosh. Since our kids were kindergartners, probably.
And I coached them in soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so long time.
You coached Christy in soccer?
Christy's kids.
Okay, Christy's
Christy's kids.
Okay.
Not Christy.
Not Christy.
I'm joking.
It's probably 20 years.
At least
Well,
20.
and I just met Christy today.
Yeah.
So everything I'm about to learn is fresh for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm excited to hear it.
So, Christy, would you tell us a little bit about what
Sure.
you're doing now and kind of why? Let me start with saying why I wanted her on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I wanted her on the podcast. This is our first one, by the way. So this is the inaugural podcast. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah. What's the date?
What is the date?
Today
is the 4th of November, 2025.
It's a very special day.
Number one.
Yes, special day.
Number one. And we wanted Christy on this podcast, and Sam can vouch for this because I was like, I got who I want on there, just got to ask her if she wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what you've done business-wise, but also what you're doing through ISU and with young entrepreneurs, and you and I talked about this, it's important that, we get young people seeing that they can do it, because I think too often they get told no, they get told they can't.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I worked a lot of odd jobs, doing lots of different things before I decided to start my own business. And so I wanted to bring you on to talk about that a little bit, but also just all the things that you've done with the Recovery Cafe and some of those things that I've known that you've done, Sullivan, that's for the betterment of people. So just glad you said yes and you
Thank
came
you for
on.
asking.
So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's definitely an honor to be here, honor to be the first guest on inaugural November 4th, 2025, a day I'll never forget. No, I'm excited to be here, to be asked and for me to be the first thought to Shane. Thank you. I don't do anything that I do for recognition, and I don't realize that people do recognize things that I do as anything as important. I do what I do because I see relevance and passion, and I see a community that is desiring to thrive, and yet we are struggling to figure out how to thrive. And so I think, when I see a niche or I see an opening for progress, I feel like I need to fill that gap. Like I feel what can I give them? What can I pour into them to help them get to that next level? And so, sometimes your biggest strength is also your greatest weakness. And so I think for me, when I mean what I say that is, what I mean is I can see the gap but sometimes I gotta figure out how to fill it. And then that takes all the energy to fill this one gap. And then it opens up to another gap. And that's what I see young entrepreneurs running into. They don't know how to keep going. They don't know how to build the relationships. They don't know how to network. So when you led with that piece of your network is your net worth, that is probably one of the greatest truths I've ever heard, is figuring out how to network and doing it well and building those relationships to success. If I would have known that at 19, it would have been a different ball game. At 19, I started my first business, and
Ooh, interesting.
It was. I was 19 years old.
What'd you start? Interjecting here. I'm just real curious. What did you start at 19?
So at 19, I started my first business, which was a dance studio. And so I am in a 5-generational entrepreneur family.
Okay.
So I come from a generation of entrepreneurs.
Cool.
And everything from nobody owned a dance studio before me. So my parents are in the trucking business. My mom owned a housekeeping business, so she did house cleaning for years. My dad was in logging and then went into commercial trucking, and so he's done that for my entire life. And
you're from Indiana?
I'm from Sullivan, always been from Sullivan.
Cool.
And then my grandparents were in, my one grandparent was in the HVAC business, so he did heating and air conditioning. Then my other grandpa had a really unique business of piano tuning and building pianos. And so he was one of the
Talking about
only,
niche.
He was the only person in this area that would really do those things. And so my mom and I, a few years ago, my grandfather passed, and my grandmother was my mother was looking for a new piano. We went to Indianapolis shopping for a piano, and we walked into this really elegant store in Indianapolis. And mind you, my grandfather was the bib overall, country boy building pianos in a little bitty shop here in Graysville, Indiana. Nobody really knew what he did in there, unless you knew why he was there. And we go into this very elegant shop, and this really, guy out in his suit comes out to sell my mom this really expensive piano, and he starts talking about my grandfather, not realizing who we were.
Interesting.
And we knew immediately who he was talking about when he started talking about Hayden Pianos and this little unique shop in Graysville, Indiana. And it was like this light bulb went in me that, this was what I was born to do. Entrepreneurship was just generated inside of me from years ago, and I just didn't realize that it had just been a part of my family and my history, and I never really leaned into that. And so for me, I had already had businesses by the time we had this conversation, so I was like kind of looking back thinking, man, I wish I would have grabbed onto that 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and I wish I could have really used that to empower me to do more when I had the businesses I had. Because some of them were successful, some of them not successful. I've had 7 businesses, some of them I've sold, some of them have failed. And that's okay.
Right.
I think part of entrepreneurship is learning how to fail and fail successful. And what do you learn from it? Pick yourself up and go again. And so that's a lot of what I pour myself back into. But going back to that 19-year-old business, in high school, I wasn't your typical, I want to go to college girl. All my friends,
kind of girl.
Yeah, I didn't want to. There was nothing about it that
I hope
made sense to
my
me.
daughter becomes that kind. My daughters become that kind of
Yeah.
girl.
Had that conversation.
Yeah,
It's something that they're missing today. And so, when you talk about young entrepreneurs, we're pushing them that they've got to go to college, they've got to do these things. And first of all, I am a college professor, so I'm not trying to steer you away from college.
ISU's
By no
enrollment
means,
drops because of this podcast.
Exactly.
We got to get rid of her.
Yes, right. And I'm in the entrepreneurship management minor. So yeah, I'm not steering you away from college. But what I am saying is I wanted to do something different, and it was never accepted. When you talk to some of these high schoolers now, they know they're different. They know college isn't for them, but they don't have anyone feeding that. They've got the teachers and they've got the advisors saying, well, just go to school and figure it out. Go get your degree and figure it out.
Which is also kind of the same as saying go in debt.
Right.
And figure it out.
Which
seems like ludicrous to me.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong. When you get to college, don't get me wrong, we're going to guide you. We're going to help you figure it out. But there are those handful of people that have that unique vision that only you can see if you've got it too. And so when I was in high school, I knew I didn't want to go to college. I tried it. I went for 3 weeks and I dropped out. I hated it. And so I opened my first dance studio, and I opened it in Clay County. And it was successful. I owned it for 12, almost 13 years, and I did really well. And life happened and took a turn, and divorce happened, and I found myself moving back to Sullivan and closing the dance studio, and I tried to reopen it in Sullivan. I tried to copy paste what I did in Clay County into Sullivan County, and it didn't work. And I couldn't
Sullivan
figure out
people
why.
don't dance, right? You guys
because I was from Sullivan, so we do dance. But what I didn't realize was the competition was different here.
Okay.
In Clay County, I had that corner. I had that niche there to where I was operating in a little small town of Clay City. Nobody else had a dance studio there. I came here and I started competing with Tana Joe's and Ann's. These were the legacy of the community. And so I wasn't able to compete. So what I was missing was I had the drive, I had the passion, I had the vision, I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the wisdom to understand how business worked. And so that business failed quickly. And so I had rented space down off of Nora and opened up, put some, all my hard earnings, single mom money into it at the time, and opened a space to a dance studio. And Matt and I weren't married yet. And so he was all supportive of it, and I opened this new space, and it's failing, and I can't figure out why are there so many more girls here than I had in Clay City, but yet I'm failing. Like it was really a hard hit to my personality. Like I'm like, okay, why can I not be successful here? I'm in my own town. I grew up here. I know people here. Why am I not successful? Well, a lot of it was, one, the relationships weren't here anymore. But two, I didn't have the business knowledge. I was able to wing it in Clay City because I was filling a gap there. There was nobody else there doing it. And so I was able to start my business young and be successful because I was the only one doing it, and I took a risk in a little bitty town and it worked. Whereas here, I was up against two really good competitors. Everybody knew if you wanted to be an Arrowette, you went to Miss Ann. If you wanted to be a cheerleader, you went to Miss Tana. And
What'd they come to you for? Did you ever figure it out?
No, they didn't come to me. I probably had 25 or 30 students here that I really loved. But I didn't have I didn't have that niche covered. I didn't have that wow factor of where I could offer there's something of value beyond myself. And that wasn't enough. And so it really was a hard hit when I closed the studio because I'm
How long did you try though?
Almost 2 years.
In Sullivan.
Almost 2 years in Sullivan.
Okay.
And it was 2
How old
years
were you?
of scraping by. By that time I was 33.
Okay.
So
you started at 31.
So I started at 31. So my first business I started at 19. It lasted about 12 years. Did really well over in Clay County. The divorce happened. I moved back to Sullivan. Tried to copy paste the business. It didn't go well. And then
what?
And then
now we're getting right. This now I'm getting the life history. So this is what makes this podcast like niche is I'm interested. Yeah. These stories get me going.
I'm like, why do you need to know? Like it's such a boring life.
The people out here that will like this podcast will like these stories.
Okay. It's the journey.
It is the journey.
And you hit it on it earlier. We were off mic, and we'll get back to it hopefully. But it's like everybody likes to talk about the successful businesses and their business doing really well at this point.
I don't. I like to hear about how did you fail? What was it like crying?
But nobody started that business and it was immediately successful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
Or if that happened when the hard times did come or culture changed, technology changed, a town changed, an industry shifted, it died they didn't know why it was successful when it started and they didn't know why it died.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Right.
Well, part of why I was curious about age, my brother sitting here, Matt, how old are you? 27?
Nice.
Yeah. And they're like people, I was sitting with a buddy today. He has never started his own business. He wants to start his own business. He's my age. He's 35, but he's scared to do it. He's nervous, so I love the story. It's like, how old were you? To be failing. It's almost, I would say it's my guess is it's harder to fail a business at 33 than it would be to fail a business at 19.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so,
especially when you have kids and you have people that are depending on you.
You had kids, people were depending on you. And
you did have kids at that time?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So my kids now are 20, almost 21 and 25.
Okay.
And so, I had kids. And so they were depending on me. That was my livelihood. That was my livelihood when I left Clay County and come to Sullivan. I closed that business thinking I can just make even more money because it's a bigger town in Sullivan. And so my goal was to be able to pick that business up and replace it here in Sullivan and keep continuing to feed my family, even though, Matt and I were together at the time, but I was the sole provider for my kids.
Right.
And so it was very difficult for me to accept failure and to accept failure by my own people. I mean, these were the people that were my family, my people that I thought would support me and my community that I grew up around. These were the friends I went to high school with, but they wouldn't bring their daughters to me. And so
it was almost even more personal here.
It was more personal. Yeah.
That's a tough lesson.
It was a hard lesson.
Sucks.
Yeah, it really was. was, because you move away with this image of your hometown being that hallmark moment of coming back and, everything is perfect. And then you come back and you realize you've been gone for 14 years and you don't really matter as much as you thought you would, And so it really was a hard lesson for me to fail at that time. One, I was failing publicly. I mean, I was in a building that was right on Section Street, right across from the high school. Yep. I had promoted myself as being someone that could come and be competitive and relevant. And so it really was hard when I failed publicly.
Yeah.
By that time you've got social media and everybody, everybody sees it. So, you see the sign go up and you see the sign come down.
For sale.
And you're like, building for rent. Like,
building for rent.
What happened here? It was it was a hard fail for me.
Well, and I think yeah. And I relate to it because I've been there. And I think the fear of it, I saw something the other day, is the thing you're ignoring is the thing that's probably causing your failure.
Right.
And I think sometimes we are afraid to start businesses or do things that we need to do while we're in business because we're afraid of putting that sign up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're so worried about what everyone thinks.
Right.
And it's kind of a superpower when you can get to the place where you're not.
It very much is.
What'd you do? So it failed. So what'd you do next?
It failed.
Did you go work for somebody else?
I did. Okay. I ended up trying to go work and do some different things. At that time, I didn't have any college degree, so I didn't have anything to fall back on. I mean, so now I'm looking back and thinking, wow, my friends really did have it right. Like they went off, got their college degrees, and then figured it out. So
you're second guessing it.
So I'm second guessing everything I've ever done and everything I've ever stood for, because honestly, in high school, I wasn't just the one that wanted to not go to college and start my own business. I also was the one that I liked the old school feeling. I wanted to get married and have kids. Like I wanted that life. And that's kind
of in this season too.
Yes.
Falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. So then everything's falling apart around me. The whole journey is falling apart. Matt and I are getting ready to get married. So in the midst of everything, he's also working for a construction company that's family. He loves what he's doing. And he comes home one day and he's like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm not making the money I need to be making, and I know I'm good at what I do. And I'm like, then just either you got to figure it out. Like just go figure out how to be your own business owner, or go find a job, or what. But we're both failing at what we're doing. You're failing at work, and I'm failing at this business, and we're trying to blend a family, and we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so we sat down one night and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, everything around us is falling apart. And
good, hard conversation.
It was and we weren't married at the time. And so that was even more sticky because we weren't married, and here we were trying to blend everything. We both had kids, and we were both trying to make it work, and we're both in our hometown, and we're both fighting that not being accepted in the rural community. Like it's supposed to be a small town living, and it doesn't feel very happy right now. What are we doing?
If you haven't been to a small town, everybody knows everybody.
Exactly. And everybody knows your story.
And people are real nice.
Right.
Hey, how you guys doing? But everyone's kind of got their walls up.
Exactly. And everybody knows your story.
I feel like I exist to just break those walls down.
Yeah. I think you're going to do a good job.
I'm all about disrupting the status quo of small town relationships.
But you figure that out as you get older.
You do.
Your skin gets a little thicker.
Yeah.
Your grit gets a little more solid, and you finally figure that out.
You do.
So what'd you do next?
So we ended up. So Matt and I sat down and we're like, okay, these are our options. You're either going to have to stay what you're doing the course of where you're working at. I'm going to have to go get a job, and the studio's done. The rent sign's already up for rent. We're going to have to figure this out. And so Matt said, well, what if I start taking on some odd jobs of construction? And I said, okay, that would be great. So he talked to his employer. They're like, well, you can do some odd jobs as long as it's on the weekends, like not competing against us, because he was working for construction. His family was construction. And so what we started doing was, I realized that Matt was very, very good at coming up with how to build things. Like his construction was his good go-to. He was able to build anything you put in front of him. He was very good at construction. But he didn't have the vision of the business side. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out the business side. And so I really came behind him and I said, okay, we need a name, we need a logo, we need a brand. And you know what? You're probably going to have to just quit working for your family, because it kind of became an ultimatum at that point in time, because he was doing some jobs that were going to be kind of competing against them. And I'm like, so you're going to have to make a choice, but here's what it looks like. And here's a pretty bow on it. And this is what we can do if you trust me. And so he's like, all right, let's do it. And so we started a business together, and we started Divine Construction.
Okay.
And so that
So it was a construction business.
Construction, yeah.
And then did that one fail?
No. Nope, not at all.
Okay, so you guys go from complete, everything, the wheels have fallen off to...
Just getting married, kids, blended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's falling apart, but now we got to pull it back together with
Right.
this shiny little red bow.
Well, that's what's fascinating is within entrepreneurship, because I've been in this where you're like, we're not paying the bills with this,
right.
and I've sold myself to it. As a business owner, you sell yourself to your vision, you go all in. It's not working, but in the middle of it, instead of going and getting a stable job, you guys said, let's start another one.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
We doubled down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of going and doing the logical thing,
Right.
let's throw everything we have, every last penny, into making this work.
That's why people think entrepreneurs are idiots.
They do.
But they all wish that they were one.
Right? And it's that, I think I always say every entrepreneur has to have ADD or ADHD. Like we have to. Because
Absolutely.
It's
That
like,
and a short memory.
right?
Because you fail and then you're just
Try it again.
Jumping back on
Yeah.
there again.
Like, what is the definition of insanity?
Yes.
Is doing it over and over again and getting the same results.
That's
like,
also
But,
the definition of entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you
It's
didn't get the same
thing.
result.
Right.
No,
So
we didn't. So we did. We started a construction company. And I mean, I guess you could say, in some sense, you could look at the way we ended up. We still have Divine Construction today, but not to the sense that we were running it for several years. We were full-blown construction. We got into doing commercial work. We did a lot of really good commercial work. We did residential. We did a lot of redevelopment, which the redevelopment side was probably our favorite side. And then COVID came. And really COVID
And you were prepared.
We were not prepared.
Yeah, exactly. That's the right answer.
Nobody
None of us
was
were prepared.
prepared.
I saw someone criticizing an industry and a business, specific business, and they said, they were already criticizing him for all these things, and then they said, and then COVID came, and they weren't prepared. And I was like, no one was prepared.
Nobody was prepared.
Really? No one went.
No.
No one was like doing push-ups in the corner. Like, what are you doing? Getting ready for COVID. No, it just blindsided everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, it did. It blindsided everybody. And honestly, when COVID hit, we were petrified. We were going to lose everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the opposite happened in construction because nobody was traveling. So everybody that was, spending money on Disney vacations and cruises, and we're like, oh, I'm stuck at my living room and I hate it. And my bathroom is ugly, and I didn't realize the carpet was 20 years old. And so everybody started dumping money into their homes.
Fascinating.
So then construction was booming. So for about 3 years, we really did really well with the commercial and residential side of construction. And so in the meantime, I had tried adding in some other avenues of the construction business. So I tried putting in some design businesses. I tried adding an event business. So I tried to build off the construction side of it, and none of them really took place. I wouldn't say that any of them were failures, but they just didn't really take off like I kind of thought they would. And I think a lot of that has to do with the community and the culture that we're in here. Like, I do think design and event building and those types of services and industries are very big in big cities, but I don't think people really can afford to pay for them what your time is worth in the communities that we're in. And so they don't really fit here. So I do think that there's a place for them, but it's a very niche place for them. And so we really just kind of stuck to the construction side. Some of those little things we tried on the side just kind of fell off. They didn't really go anywhere. And so that was kind of that. But then that construction side really was booming during that COVID industry of everybody was wanting to just throw their money at you. And what happened was we got so busy and so big that it grew so fast that we ended up doing ourselves a disjustice because we had built a very successful business on integrity and authenticity and our faith, that we honored every contract we had. What we didn't expect was inflation. And so when
wood prices soared and things like that.
And we were just those types of people that if we signed a contract with you, we were going to honor that contract. And so we really started struggling. because we were honoring contracts at prices that just didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so we were starting to eat into a lot of profit because we refused to back and double down on the profits on the contracts. And
Do you think that was the right decision?
No. Well, you know what? I still stand on it. I think there were some things we should have looked at strategy-wise for doing it differently. When I look back on it, I do think we could have done things differently and still honored the contracts.
Yeah.
The other problem we began having was all of the labor that we had. They were now getting free money from the government, so nobody wanted to work. So all of our laborers were sitting at home playing their Xboxes instead of coming to work. And so it was like this domino effect of where we did really well those 2 or 3 years. I think where we probably should have done differently, we should have had a different strategy in place, and we should have been more prepared for the inflation. That we should have been more prepared for. Even though you didn't see it coming.
It's hard to see that.
It's hard to see that.
Well, it was extreme. It was extreme inflation, right?
Yes.
Like my brother is a contractor, does custom stuff in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I remember him talking about that a lot. Like the price of wood just soared.
Right. It did.
Did prices ever come back down? Or
Not
do they
really.
stay up there?
Not
See, that's
really.
what happens.
Not pre-COVID. Everybody talks about, prices. No, they're
Not pre-COVID prices. I mean, it's not the same. That's why you see houses now in Sullivan are going for twice what they're worth, because the pricing of houses have just different because of the material prices are different now today. So yeah, I think there were some things we could have done differently. But what happened was Matt and I were strong enough as a couple and as a business that we survived it. But we also realized, okay, we need a break. And I was watching my 6'4" husband, military, strong. He's always been the rock, my biggest cheerleader and supporter. Honestly, and I know he's going to hate me when he hears this podcast. He was falling apart.
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, physically.
Takes a toll.
Falling apart. And I remember walking into the house one day and he was a mess. And I said, I'm done. We're done with this. It's time to move on.
Gotcha.
And so we do still have the construction company. We do. And honestly, we started doing some of our clients disjustice too. I mean, we weren't getting things done quick enough. We weren't being able to hold up to our end of the contracts. Even though we were able to hold up to the pricing, we were taking longer than we should have been on projects. And we had some amazing clients that really respected that integrity piece of us, that we just had to finally say, you know what? Here's your money back. Go and do what you need to do to get your job done. We can't get you finished. And that was hard for Matt. And that broke him.
How did people respond to that?
Really, we had some really understanding individuals that appreciated our honesty.
Yeah.
And they appreciated the way that we handled it, that we didn't just try. They seen Matt trying to spin both ends of the deal, trying to burn
I was
both
just saying
sides
that's
of the
almost
candle.
kind of sounds rare.
Yeah.
Super rare.
It was.
Here's your money back. That's rare.
And that was it. I mean, that's really, he had to say, like, it was some tough conversations. And, I remember even talking to one of our local banks and saying, okay, what do we do with this? We're in a unique situation. What do we do with this? And they came back to us, and I'll give them a shout out. It was the Western Credit Union here in Sullivan County.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Western Credit Union.
They were the biggest saviors in our story, because they came back to us and they said, it's because of you and Matt that we believe in what you guys do and what you guys stand for, that we'll support you.
That's crazy.
And we'll carry
That's
you.
a shout out, by the way.
Yeah.
That's big. Western Credit Union, you're also welcome to sponsor this podcast. Go ahead and put a little plug in here, because clearly.
Yeah, they really were. They came to us and they said, it is the personal integrity of the two of you.
That's awesome.
Everybody in the board sees that we're willing to carry you. And they carried us for a little bit until we made our decisions on what directions to go.
That's great.
So, and in the meantime, there were some other businesses. So we did purchase. We were very well known in the community for purchasing blighted projects and doing redevelopment. So that's where we started with a lot of our success. That was our favorite side of the business. So we did a lot of redevelopment in the community with blighted homes. And we were offered a building on the square that was what used to be the Melbourne's Pharmacy building. We ended up buying it, got a really good deal for it. The idea was to flip and sell the building. I kind of wanted it as kind of like a flex space, like what you guys are doing. It is a really cool building. And I thought, well, I could turn it into a flex space. It could be a collaborative space. I can use the office space. We ended up having a young entrepreneur come to us, and she wanted to try her hand at a coffee shop. And I was like, okay, let's do the coffee shop. Let's try it. Like, we'll financially back you and support you. You run the coffee shop. We'll be the financial supporters. You take off with it. Do whatever you want with it. And we'll take care of all the renovations and just financially back you. You just run the operation. I don't want to run the coffee shop. And she lasted about 2 days.
Dude, I've got a background in the coffee industry.
Yeah.
It's no joke.
It was rough. Now, she did stay on with us for about a year because once we opened it, everybody loved it. And so we were like, okay, now we can't just up and close it because she's gone. So Matt and I found ourselves running a construction company
and a coffee shop.
Yeah. Neither one of us wanted to run.
Yeah.
But we loved the space because what we found was the city of Sullivan wrapped their arms around that
Does the space have a name?
It was Sweet Peas.
Okay.
So now it is now Recovery Cafe.
Okay, I heard you say that earlier.
Yes. So
I'm gonna have to get down there.
I know you will, and you'll have to hear the story right.
Where do you get your coffee from? I roast coffee.
Well, they don't do
We're
it anymore.
selling it too.
They don't do it anymore.
They don't do it anymore. So
I'd love to solve that problem for you if you were.
There you go. Maybe we can get it started again. Yeah. So we were actually purchasing coffee from a group of individuals. I don't remember the name at this time, but it was a veteran-owned coffee distributor.
Okay.
Because my husband was a veteran.
Oh, are you? It'll come to me.
I want to say it starts with black, but I can't remember if that's right.
Black Rifle.
Yes, Black Rifle. So that's where we were.
Thank you, Matt.
That's good coffee.
Yep.
Our producer Matt.
Producer Matt.
Yes, thanks, Matt. We appreciate that. So yeah, Black Rifle was where we were buying our coffee from, just because it was veteran owned, and we were trying to stay in that field of supporting other minority businesses. And so when we had this Sweet Peas, again, the purpose of it was to flip the space. And then I'm like, well, maybe we need a collaborative space. Like, Sullivan needs somewhere where people can go. Kids can come and study. They can hang out. Lawyers can come and use the space across from the courthouse to meet with clients. We really found ourselves as kind of being that gathering spot of CPS would use our space for parents to come and have, coffee or bubble tea was something we served with the parents and children that had to have supervised visits. They were using our space. We found Bible studies were using our space. So we really became this hub of community.
That's amazing.
Is what it really came down to. And so in my mind, what I really wanted that space to be was collaborative, and I wanted it to be used for community. And that's really what it become through this journey of, of her deciding not to continue. And we had this coffee shop. We just kind of kept pushing that community piece. And so we really did build this foundation of community. And so on the outside of the building, which it still says it on the outside of the building, it says Ohana. When you're here, you're family. And that was the sense of understanding that this is a community space. When you're here, it doesn't matter what your cares are, what your fears are, what your worries are, what your day looks like. We're here. We're here. It's a joyful place. You're going to come in. You're going to be surrounded by people. You're going to be surrounded by upbringing of stress-free life when you walk in the door. And that's what we promoted ourselves on. And so we really did have that atmosphere there. People would walk in the door and they'd say, man, the atmosphere just feels different. And it was because we knew we'd built something special. Even though it was kind of accidental, we knew that we'd built something special. And so we had the construction going, we had the coffee shop going, we had some other little odds and end things that we were trying. I had opened a nonprofit that was kind of dealing in some advocacy and filling in some community development pieces. And so that we just had all of these odd little things running around that weren't really connecting real well. And I somehow got involved with, not somehow, I know how, but I had gotten into the addiction recovery community. And I agreed to hold a workshop there for recovering. It was like a symposium that day that they were coming in and promoting something through the United Way of recovery in rural communities. And I became known for that. And so I started talking to a lot of other communities about recovery and getting involved in the recovery field. And I hadn't walked through recovery, but I have family members that have. And so it was definitely something that was unique to me and my story, that I was very connected to the recovery individuals. I wanted to make sure that they had a way to succeed. I really started working with recovery individuals who wanted to build businesses. I mean, because when we also became the construction company that are, and you'll have to edit some of this because I'm rambling on some of it.
Yeah, you're good.
We become the construction company that really was hiring those in recovery. Okay. So we became the one that probation would call us and say, hey, we've got someone getting out of jail. Would you hire them? Absolutely. you know, and we would teach them the trade, and we would offer them different things to figure out how to get them on their feet. And so recovery became something that was really important to us. And so eventually we ended up connecting to Next Steps in Terre Haute, and they came to us with this crazy idea of taking and purchasing our building and turning Sweet Peas from a coffee shop into Recovery Cafe. And we're like, absolutely.
It all connects in my mind now.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can help the recovery community, if that means we have to let go of this piece of the community to support this piece of the community, it's time. And that to me, that was the journey. That was the plan. Like, we didn't realize it all along, but we didn't realize that there was a bigger purpose to that building from the beginning, and we didn't see that connection. I mean, we knew all of these pieces were happening, but we didn't see that end goal until it just was there in front of us. And so, you know, in the meantime, we've got 2 or 3 business going. I'm back in school. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. You know, I had the big failure of the business of the dance studio that I thought that was going to be my entire life. And so now I'm dabbling in multiple different things, and none of it feels right. And so I'm back in school, and I find myself finishing my degree. Then I find myself going, okay, now what do I do? Well, I think I need to learn more about leadership and entrepreneurship. So I go back and get my master's degree, and I get it in Master's of Leadership and Development. And my focus was on small business development. And then I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? I don't know. I guess I'll just keep going to school because I don't want to go back and pay the student loan debt yet. So let's just keep going. And so I go back and I get my PhD, and my PhD is in organizational development of small businesses in rural communities globally. And so my PhD is in global leadership, but my focus of my dissertation was in disaster management of small businesses from a global scale. And so it kind of touches on what it looks like from recovery when it comes into destroy a community or when a tornado hits a community. So disaster looks different in different communities, you know, poverty, you know, blighted homes, you know, all of those things pulled together really do have a long-term effect on what community looks like from a small business standpoint. And so that was what my PhD ended up being at. And then from there, I just got pulled into the Small Business Development Center, started working with young entrepreneurs. I began getting pulled into the Sullivan County CEO program, which is where I spent 5 years of my time of really helping the younger entrepreneurs figure out how do you become successful? How did I do it at 19 and then turn around and lose it all at 31? And what do I wish I would have known then that I do know now? And it's that networking piece. It's that relationship piece. It's that strategy piece of
purpose.
It's that purpose. Yeah. Of not always understanding the journey, but the journey comes at the end. I mean, it's not the end of our story by no means. Our story is still going, even though it definitely took a different turn and a different road. You know, we never seen us not having the dance studio. We never seen us not having the construction company. I never ever envisioned of being part of a recovery community. But that's been part of the journey, and that's the beautiful part of it. And so now getting to pour back into students. So when I was able to pour back into the CEO students, you know, I would always tell them, you got to know purpose. You got to be able to develop your core ideology of who you are, understanding your purpose and your passion. And when those two things mate together and you can align them with your values of who you are as a person, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. Even every obstacle in the world. You don't have money to start, we can figure that out. You don't have an investor, we can get you a connection. You don't have a location, we can make that happen. Everything you need is in the palm of your hand. So there's an old theology out there called the effectuation theology, and it talks about you start with what's in your hand. So you may have absolutely nothing in your hand, but what can you take out of nothing and turn into something? And so that effectuation theory is really teaching you that you don't have to have all the answers put together in the beginning. You just have to figure out how to put the pieces down on the table and place them in the right place. And then build that big picture out.
Which is why I think young people have a hard time being in business, where it takes a little bit of time to be patient.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was in my teens, I wasn't patient. Like, why isn't this? I'm a week in. Why? You know what I mean? Like, I had a sales job. It's like I expected to go dominate the world, and it takes time. You know, it's like, so then the purpose and the passion. You know, you might have passion, but you don't have the purpose.
Right.
You don't have you're just not putting in the dedicated time to do it. So.
And you have to have both. You have to have the purpose and the passion. And then you have to have the idea of understanding who you are. And I think that's what came later to me in life. And I think when I stand in front of my students at ISU, or if I'm talking to the CEO kids, I think the first thing I tell them is you have to know who you are now. Figure it out now. The sooner you figure that out, the sooner you have something to stand on. And, we talk about that a lot from an entrepreneurship perspective of understanding that, yes, purpose meets passion, but is it enough? Is it enough to make you successful? Is it enough to make you carry you through those dark times, those scary times, those times of what do I do, those hard conversations? And so I think it's really understanding that purpose meets passions, and then understanding who you are as a person, and then creating yourself from there. And I think that's where I came along with that wisdom later in life that I wish I would have gotten earlier. That and that networking piece is crucial to building relationships. It's absolutely crucial.
Well, that leads me to this question that we talked about a little bit leading into this, but what's the one thing you've learned about small town entrepreneurship that big city folks just might not understand?
Man, and that's such a tough question because there's so many things you could talk about from a small perspective. One, it's the networking piece. You have to know who to talk to in a small town. You got to know that.
Who do you have to talk to?
You got to be involved in everything. You have to, a little bit of everything. And I don't mean it from a nosy perspective of you got to know what's going on. You have to know who's in charge of what, who's running what operations, who do you need to talk to get something done. And if you don't have the right people at the right table, who do you go talk to get the right people at the right table? If there's not a system in place, how do we put a system in place? Who do you need to look at? Who are the people that are making the decisions and controlling the community?
Who's making the decisions in Sullivan?
Oh, goodness.
Who has the keys to the city?
We're not going to get into
that. I think that's a loaded question that could get us in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well,
I thought this was the real raw business talk.
It is a real raw business talk, but we're not.
See, I'm from Rockville. I don't have to worry about Sullivan. I'm from Rockville right now.
Yeah, that's one that I think would get us in trouble because the other part of that is you have to be careful with what you talk about in public.
That's very important.
You have to know who to talk to and when to not talk.
That's the other piece.
Maybe I haven't learned this lesson yet.
That's the other piece to small town politics and business.
Yes,
yeah,
it is. And I think that to answer your question is you have to know who to talk to, but you also have to know how to close the gap in a professional way that's going to make a win for everyone. Because in small communities, everybody's trying to make it better for those that are living there. We recognize there's gaps, right? We recognize that there needs to be something. There needs to be a coffee shop. There needs to be a play area. There needs to be different pieces that we're missing. There needs to be a sports venue. There needs to be a place for mamas to take their kids to. There needs to be a place for guys to go golf. There, or women to go golf. There needs to be all of these places, but there's not enough space and there's not enough investment. And so that's what makes it hard is you don't have enough people in small towns believing in small towns.
Right.
And that's the sad part.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Because I think you've got a lot of people, what I mean by that is you don't have enough people that look into the community and say, I think there's something special here. I'm going to invest in you.
Okay, so I grew up in small towns, Indiana, lived in Portland for a decade, and it was long enough to forget what it was like to live in Indiana.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild. Just that became my full normal, living in deep urban context. Now I moved back, and what I notice in small towns is that people don't even, it's like when you're around something long enough, you don't even notice that it's there anymore. Yeah. It's like people don't see the town the way I feel like I see it.
Right.
I see all this opportunity, and I see what a beautiful slice of heaven it is in this country. And and people don't seem to have vision or motivation for it. And if you do, it's almost kind of like it's dumb.
Right.
Or people might even kind of like scoff at it a little bit.
Yes.
Or they're super stoked because it's like, this is a brand new idea. I've never seen this before.
Right. When I look at our community around us, and there's so much here. I mean, there's so much here that could be invested in. And we've got such a rich culture of history here. Then we've got the lake, we've got the Mirren Bluff, we've got different pieces of Carlisle that's got Minnehaha. Like, there are so many things about our community that are so rich in culture and nature that if we could just find the right people who would come back in here, the Shanes of the world that come back in and say, you know what,
Shane,
I want to reinvest
man
in my
after all of our own heart.
community, right? But
Shane's our man.
Not sure about all that.
But you've done that. I mean, those of you that have come back and said, I want to invest here. I see something here. I see the entrepreneurs here. I see the goals and the drive that's here, but nobody's giving them a space or a place to do that vision, to have that vision. And so I think that's what we're missing in these small communities is we've got those people that come back and they're rare diamonds because they come back and they're like, okay, I get it now. Like I get how important this community is. And maybe it takes us to move away for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then to come back and see it.
That's my story. I look at our little town. I'm like, man, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life. This is where I want to invest.
Well, and Rockville's booming. I mean, you look at Rockville.
It's a cool little spot.
It's a cool spot now.
It is a cool spot.
And it's grown in the past few, 4 or 5
I say
years.
it's the epicenter of culture in the Midwest, but people just don't know that yet.
But it is. But if you look at it, when they start to
at least for 9 days when the covered bridge is going
that
on.
is true.
Dude, you telling me, man. We're a busy place.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Have you been?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you've been to the Bridge Fest. You've spent so much money there.
I have. Yes. many years of it.
That's good to this next part of this question.
Yeah,
So
hit us with it, Shane. By the way, she called you a diamond.
I did call you
A diamond.
A diamond
Moving
in the
back
rock.
to a small town.
Yeah.
We'll cut all that out.
Shane's going to get the keys to the city.
No.
I think that's what's coming.
Mayor Shane.
Mayor Shane, here it is. This is his campaign. What's your slogan?
We'll have those conversations.
Make
offline.
Sullivan great again.
But when we look at we talked about some of the challenges of small town, but so what's some hidden advantages that they might not know? And I'll say one is that this space, when I lived in Westfield, north side of Indianapolis, in the Hamilton County zip codes, this space is expensive to rent. It's not attainable to purchase. I mean, their land for an acre up there can go for $1 million.
Just to clarify, you mean like flex point spaces? Like
flex point spaces,
this kind of space.
like this kind of space, yeah. And this field that's sitting here, the Field of Dreams, is hard to obtain. It's expensive, and then to build the building is expensive. So moving back after spending 7 years up there and then coming back to Sullivan County, it's like the light bulb went off for me about affordability.
Yeah.
So the spaces that I bought, the old Club 10 building that was there forever, when I bought that as my shop, because when I moved back, they didn't have, I rented this space. When I was in Westfield, I came back, we didn't have this space. It doesn't exist. So I bought it was a dance studio, Christy was talking about there on the south side of town. And that's where I placed my business and I had my shop. And I spent a fraction of the cost as to what I would have paid for that same space in Westfield. So one of the hidden advantages is affordability, whether they know it or not.
Right. I do believe affordability is it. And then I also think redevelopment.
Okay, so hold on. Let's go back real quick. You said there was disadvantages, and then this is the advantages.
So we talked about a lot of the disadvantages.
So
being in business in a small town, entrepreneurship in a small town. So what are some of the hidden advantages that they might not realize they have?
Well, I think you hit it on the nail on the head with the affordability. It is definitely an affordable place to start a business. I think also one of the biggest hidden advantages is there is a lot of opportunity for redevelopment. So over time, as things have happened, whether it be the tornado or just properties have become dilapidated or communities have been abandoned in our area, those spaces are now being purchased by the communities themselves. They're recognizing, hey, these are spaces that we want to put our arms around and we want to build them back up and we want to do something with them, but we don't know what. And so a lot of our communities inside of our county are holding on to properties that there's significant value to them, but they're willing to work out deals, silver lining deals with business owners or residential owners that want to reinvest in the communities for good. And so I think that's a hidden advantage of a secret maybe of our community that people don't recognize, that there are opportunities, but it comes down to who do you talk to? Again, how do you find out about these things? How do you have those conversations of how do I get in on that deal, or how do I figure out how to build, or this space in particular, this flex space is a hidden gem because people are operating in their garages, in their spare bedrooms. They're operating in.
Do you know people in Sullivan doing that?
Oh, absolutely.
What are their names? Because we need to get them on right now.
Well, I'll give them to you.
I'm kind of in charge of lead generation for Flex Point Spaces.
All right, yeah.
It's a big part of this podcast.
Okay.
So can we get those names?
We can give you some shout outs at the end of the podcast, or I can give them to you offline.
Yeah, get out of that garage. This guy right here.
That's
here,
right.
Yes,
Shane's
has
got
the answer.
Space. He's got the answers. A hidden gem and diamond here in Farmersburg, Indiana. Yeah, no, definitely there are. I mean, at the ISBDC office, we see all kinds of people that are starting businesses. I have some students I give them in my entrepreneurship class. I give them a 0 to 100 project, and it was my business 100 students. And I said, okay, you've got no money. So building on that effectuation theory, you have no money, but I need you to make $100 in 1 week. You got 1 week to make $100 with something you've got in your hand, whether it's in your apartment.
How do they do?
I would say about 70% of them succeeded to make the $100.
What they do for it?
So a little bit of everything. One poor guy he was standing outside of Walmart asking people to clean their windows. I'm like, please don't do that. Like that's not the point of this. I had one.
I kind of like it.
It was ingenious.
It shows a little hustle.
It was hustle.
I would hire that person.
Hustle.
That was hustle, but it really broke my heart that he was doing that. And then I had one girl that was knocking in her uncle's neighborhood on cleaning people's houses, just like knocking on their random strangers' doors. And I'm like, don't do that either. I do not need you on the.
But did she get business?
She got one.
Okay, hey,
and
one.
So she did get one. So that was hustle too. But what I had, my success stories was I had a couple of guys that had they had like sneakers in their dorm room. They sold their sneakers for, I think one of them said he bought his pair of tennis shoes for $80. He sold them for $225.
Yeah, dude. How'd he do it?
He just hustled somebody on Snapchat. And
So you're teaching people to hustle people.
I'm teaching them to hustle, yes. But he did. But then he turned around and took that $225 and bought some more shoes. And he ended up making almost $1,000 in 7 days. And he's like, wow.
What's the name of his shoe company?
I could do that. He doesn't even have one.
Well,
I'm like,
he's
you
missing
and I
it.
need
That
to
needs
come
a-
together. Like,
Yeah.
and I told him that.
It's a light bulb moment.
Here,
It
let's
is
see.
a light bulb moment.
Would he sell this?
Probably not.
No.
Oh, it's not.
Probably
The old
not.
Slip on Doc Martens.
This is your new.
Yeah,
This is your new.
That's your new.
This is
yeah.
your new. This is your
Probably
new.
smells like Subway.
This is your new. Yeah, because there's some Chipotle on it.
Maybe
No,
he
that'll
brands
decrease the
it.
value.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, this is your next challenge for your students. If they can
If
sell
they can
my
sell
shoe,
that shoe for $100.
if they can sell my shoe for $100,
Got it.
That's
All
a big
right.
challenge.
That is a big challenge. But
I'll let them use it.
I'm sure you would. And I'm sure
Your
some of them
students
will
might
take you up on that.
your students. Yeah, see, they might watch
Yeah.
this. This could be.
Yeah. But I did have
This
some of
could be
them that come up
groundbreaking.
with some very, very thought-provoking ways of entrepreneurship. And so the idea of the whole thing was to understand that you can start anywhere. You can start anywhere and you can make something out of anything if you try. The ones that didn't succeed were basically the ones that didn't put any thought to it. They didn't have any vision to how to even get from 0 to 100. Those of them that succeeded and it succeeded well, those are your hidden entrepreneurs in your classes. They recognized there was a way to make some money and get a good grade out of it.
So what do you do with the kids that were bad at it?
So I
They
mean,
don't-
they
do they pass entrepreneur school
So
or?
it's a business 100. So as long as they could relate it back to business failure and how it relates to business. I mean, you got to realize these were students that were not just entrepreneur students. So they were marketing.
Oh, yeah,
They
they're
might
different.
be supply chain. They might be
Different business.
accounting.
Yeah.
They just have to take business 100. So
Yeah.
they may be on the goal of accounting. And so, for them,
Got
they
it.
just want to crunch numbers. They don't want to sell anything.
Got it.
And so I knew that it wasn't going to be successful for everyone. The goal was to understand that you can take anything and make it into something, no matter where you're at in life. And for those hidden gems that really began to understand, oh, wait, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And so going back to the hidden advantages, I think what happened with this particular kid, he's like, now I got 15 pairs of shoes in my dorm room and my roommate's complaining because there's shoes everywhere. And he's like, now I need a space. I'm like, yeah, you need like an office space and you need some supply space, some supply room space. And so we kind of were just joking about how big he could be on campus just by turning and flipping shoes. And that's where some people start. They just start with this
Is
one
he still
little
doing
unique. Yeah, he's still doing it. So
And
now
he
I'm
doesn't
like,
have. Does he have a website or anything?
no, he just does it on Snapchat right now. So I'm like, Deontay, we have got to get this.
Deontay. We got something on
Shout
him.
out.
Yeah, shout out Deontay. We've got to get you into an actual LLC and get you rolling in the right direction.
I guarantee
So,
Deontay could sell my boot.
Deontay probably could. I've watched
probably
him
could.
make some sales in class.
Sounds like he's
before,
good at
so
sales then.
He is good at sales. So
Okay.
So that knocked out several of my questions. Just talking about, I like just rolling with it.
Yeah. I had a question. It's maybe diverts us, but I don't want to divert you too much.
We'll finish up that on what's the one thing that makes you the proudest about working with entrepreneurs in these small town communities?
Oh gosh, you know what? The one thing that makes me the proudest is when they come back to me and they say, "You were a part of this." And it's always behind the scenes. I've got a client that I'm working with in Terre Haute, and I got an email from him just yesterday, and his business is actually going to open up in about 2 weeks.
What is it?
And
who is it?
Just Paul's Just Paul's Wash is the name of it.
Okay.
All Paul's Wash. Sorry, he changed it. It's All Paul's Wash, and it's a dog washing or animal washing business that is like you can go. It's do it yourself. So it's like this little building that might be about this big, maybe a little bit smaller than this. It reminds me of like a car wash for animals, and you literally take your animal in there and wash it, dry it, and go. And he's starting up on the north side of Terre Haute, and he came to me, several months ago, and he's like, I don't know if I can even do this. I've never been an entrepreneur, but I've just got this idea. I think it might work. He's seen it in another city somewhere, and he's like, I think I could do it. And he's like, I just don't know. And so we talked about it, and I'm like, of course you can do it. Like, that's a wonderful idea. And so we went through all the strategies of it, and I got an email from him the other day, and it was just the sweetest email. It just said, hey, I just want to say thank you, because without you being my cheerleader, I wouldn't have done this.
That's great.
And those are the business owners that when they come back to me and it's not the thank you. It's not the thank you that means anything to me. It's not the recognition. It's when they are able to say, I couldn't have done it without you. Then it resonates with me that I'm making a change. I'm having an impact. And I don't get paid to do those things. Like I don't get paid to be your cheerleader. I don't get paid to check on you at midnight and answer your text messages or look over your business plan. I do it because I want to see you succeed. And, working with the young entrepreneurs, I want them to have a cheerleader. I want them to have a champion. If they have nobody else in this world, I want them to know that Dr. Christy Pearison at Indiana State University is going to be able to be your cheerleader. I will be the one that puts the stamp on, yes, you can do this.
Everybody needs a cheerleader.
They do.
I mean, when you're building a business, it's lonely.
It is.
It's not, people will cheer you on, but really secretly they'd probably rather you fail.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
critics are many.
Yeah.
Critics are many. You gotta. So having one person, few people in your corner pushing you along and telling you everything's going to be okay is super important.
And I think that's what's missing in some of these. I don't want to say it's missing because I do think that there are champions in every community. You just have to find them. And I think that the young entrepreneurs need to know that there is support. There are people that want to see you succeed. Whether or not you go to college for 4 years, get a degree, and come back and start a computer science, cybersecurity business in your bedroom, like we've got you. We've got support for you. We've got flex space for you. We've got a group of individuals that are going to put their arms around you and say, we want you to succeed. And I think that's the one thing I hope that eventually we see in Sullivan County. I hope eventually in Sullivan County we one day figure out how to rally behind our small businesses in a way that it's I don't know how to say it, that it sounds good, that what we're supporting them in a way that they know that we are their cheerleaders, that there's a group of us that have figured it out, that we're successful in what we've done, and we have you, and we want to be your foundation. We want to be your cheerleaders. And so I know I didn't say that very smoothly, but my goal would be for Sullivan to have that support system eventually of building up businesses that make us unique in the county. Figuring out how do we become the machine that moves it forward in every single industry, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's computer science, whether it's a dance studio, whether it's building condominiums and barndominiums and construction. There's all these different types of industries. Shout out to Ben Flath with the being a young entrepreneur of building his own mechanic services. It's those young entrepreneurs that how do we make them have a space and feel comfortable pushing forward their dreams.
Yep.
And I think that for me is the biggest takeaway of being an entrepreneur, of kind of going backwards, of starting young, failing, picking myself back up, going back to school, figuring it all out in the end, and then really coming to realize that all came down to knowing who you are in relationships. That's the success. It's not figuring out how to find money to start. That's part of the journey.
Relationships is measured on different levels too, right? So some relationships, personal relationships, business relationships, they don't all make you money, but they make you the person that you are on the journey that you're on.
Absolutely. And I think that's the key to success for communities. Yeah. It's getting the right people around the right table that have the same goal. And I think you're finding them. But then it kind of gets burned out really quickly. Mm-hmm. So
what was your...
Yeah, I had a couple. Yeah, this is a fun one. Okay. If you were going to start a business around here, what would you start?
Oh my gosh, that's such a tricky one too, because there's so many things I could start.
But you have to make a decision. You have to choose one. You're going to start it based on what you know of the area. What do you think would do really well?
Oh man,
where's a gap? I don't want to prompt it too much.
There's not just one you could do. So, I mean, I can be in a conversation in a room and get so energized. The last night I was talking to my daughter and Tipton, her boyfriend. I was talking to Callie and Tipton.
Shout out to Tipton Davis and Tip TV Cribs.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Shout out to Tipton.
One of the greatest realtors down here in Sullivan County.
He is. I guess I'll say that he is one of the greatest.
And I'm waiting for him to hire me again.
Okay. Shout out to Tipton. Hire Sam again, Tipton, so we can move on. So shout out to Tipton. But no, Tipton and Callie and I.
You're like, dang it, I did not. I
walked into that
Cut
part.
all of that out of the podcast.
Yeah, no, Tipton knows I love him. And Tipton knows we've spent many, many conversations of business along the years. I mean, I pushed Tipton through business.
Your wife, Tipton's successful.
I don't know that I'm widely successful, but I definitely pushed him through
You can claim that for the young bucks. If we're us young bucks, you can claim it. I definitely pushed him
to finish school. He was one that had the drive. And I just had to keep, at least finish your degree, at least finish what you're doing, and then go do what you want to do in life. You got plenty of time to make money, and he's figuring it out. But we were talking last night, and then I'll finish that part.
No, you're good. You get up there. What happened? You ran out of memory. Nice.
Oh, we filled up a card already.
Been filled up a card already?
1 minute, 1 hour and 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. I think we feel the end of the road here. Yep. Yeah, we're getting there.
So Tipton and Callie and I were talking last night, and Callie has a dream of she's starting to dabble into. She was in the CEO program as well, and started getting into tailoring and alterations and things like that. And so she's wanting to start a wedding venue, not a venue where you have weddings, but where she can sell wedding dresses, prom dresses, and do alterations. And I do think that's a gap that's here in town. Yeah. There's not a really
So that's what you would do?
Place. No, it's not what I would do. I think if you're going to do something in Sullivan County, one, it needs to be invested into some kind of tourism. Okay. I do think we've got some unique venues around Sullivan County, and we're right in the heart of some things that I think that you could invest in some type of tourism. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I think somebody could put a bow on something and make it really successful here when it comes to tourism. Mm-hmm. I also think that one of the biggest uniques is services, anything service-based. Yeah. I would love to see consulting services that can come in and really take a leap in, if it was me, take a leap in really investing into community development somehow, not construction, but from a community service base of coming along some of these organizations that everybody has got a good idea and everybody's got a goal, but we need somebody to come in with a service that it pulls everyone together. And I think that if I was going to start anything in this community, it would be a way to bring all of those networks and relationships together from a consulting standpoint. That's what I would do. But if you needed a hard brick and mortar business, I think if you could come up with something in tourism, you'd be rocking it out here.
What would you not start? Don't start that.
Don't start a pizza place.
Another pizza place.
Yeah, we love our pizza places. Shout out to all of them in town. I love all of them from the east side, west side, north side, south side of Sullivan County.
But we have enough pizza.
But we've got enough pizza.
You just shattered someone's dreams.
I know, I did. And if they really wanted one, I would help them figure out how to do it. We would just figure out what kind of pizza. It's just
upside down pizza, crust on top.
Yeah, it'd have to be something like donut different. Pizza, upside down pizza. Yeah. It's got to be something different. So
fair. A nail salon.
You could do a nail salon.
Oh.
I think you could do a nail salon. Okay. I think that would
There's demand.
There's demand, yeah. I think, we've got a new esthetician business that opened in Sullivan that I think they're going to do great. I think those are some booming trends right now that you look at what trends are around, and those are definitely trends right now. So
my opinion on, not that it fully matters here, but I think that there is so much business that needs to be started. Yeah. And people don't even realize that. Yeah. That like if there's something that people come to you for, mm-hmm. and they ask for your help with it, you can monetize that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you can turn it into something because there's just organic demand that exists. Mm-hmm. My wife is a personal trainer. One of her clients was, she's in high school. So over the summer she was training with Kelsey. And at the end of I was in there one day and they were talking about how she like does nails for all the, I don't know nail world, but does nails for all the girls. So like when family goes on vacation, she spends a ton of time doing it for them because it's good. And my wife was like, this is so good. I would pay you. You don't charge for this? I would pay you to do this. And she was like, oh no, I wouldn't charge. I'm like, you need to charge. And then I said, what are your plans after high school? It's like, oh, I plan to go to college. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? I want to be a marketer. I was like, you need to start your business now.
Yes. Start it now.
Just start it now. Yeah. And I would love to help you with that.
Right. I try to tell the students at ISU a lot too, like figure out how you can make money without going to a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Like what are those hidden talents you have that you can sell? Those services, those pieces that it doesn't have to be product based. I think people think that I've got to sell a product to be an entrepreneur. No, I think that there's, like you said, there's so many things that could be opened up in Sullivan and be successful. It's look at the trends, look at what's happening in front of you, and you could definitely monetize that. And I think it's easy to get excited about something because you hear it and you're like, oh, I can make money doing that.
The side hustle is important too.
Yeah.
Like if you think you've got an idea, you know, you're working, you got a decent job, it's paying the bills, like do it on the side.
Yeah.
But people aren't willing. One of the other quotes I've seen is, why give up the 9 to 5 when you're working the 5 to 9? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, go work and then try your side hustle out on the weekends and the evenings and whatever else. There's businesses that can be built that way with the true side hustle. So
yeah, I think also a lot of it just comes down to who's willing to work the hardest and who's willing to grit it out.
It all takes
the
work.
grit. Yeah.
Right? So would you rather work that hard for somebody else or work for yourself?
Yeah. And also sometimes it's wise to work for somebody else while you learn to work for yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's just, you got to make ends meet and you also have to pursue
and there's
the freedom that you want.
Yeah, and there's a learning curve to it, right? I mean, sometimes what you learn from working from somebody else, you couldn't have taught yourself.
That's right.
That's part of learning, and I think that's
and it's more
wisdom.
network.
Yeah, and it's
how you
network.
manage those relationships matter too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the relationship piece.
The other thing I was going to ask is, and I'm asking for the Wabash Valley. What is from what you know, what's the biggest industry in the Wabash Valley as a whole, not just Sullivan County?
Well, healthcare and manufacturing are the two biggest industries.
Okay. And like, how does that break down? Like, because you're going to have that on a big scale. Healthcare, you're going to have hospital.
Right.
But then that's going to...
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you could look at healthcare from breaking down so many different levels. So, I mean, I help entrepreneurs. I had one lady come in and she was dabbling in scrubs. And she's like, what can I connect? How can I connect scrubs? And I'm like,
awesome.
We have 3 major hospitals right in our area, 5. If you start going out to the regular, the counties, then you can get up to 7. You've got 3 different colleges that have nursing schools in them. So there is absolutely, then you've got the nursing homes and you got the dental offices. So so healthcare is definitely a big one. And so I think, they have to have scrubs, right? They have to have their protection. They have to, there's so many different things that when you look at healthcare from the big piece of it, then you can kind of narrow down the different niches of it, inside of what makes that healthcare function correctly. Marketing, insurance, supply and demand. There's all different pieces to it. I mean, you can look at it from...
So you're saying essentially, how could you... So if those are what were they again? Healthcare
and manufacturing.
So like manufacturing, it's like you would look at that industry and then you'd find a small piece of how you could serve the bigger.
How do you serve the big...
So if it's healthcare and manufacturing, find a way to solve a piece of it.
Yes, yeah. Find a way to solve a piece of it. I mean, and it can be as simple as, maybe you are a nail salon and maybe you can talk to the hospital about opening up a salon inside of the hospital.
Kiosk.
Maybe they got it, maybe if they got a space in there that they're not using right now. I mean, all of our hospitals are struggling, so maybe they'd rent out a space to where you can open a small salon in there and the nurses and the doctors and whoever else, people can come and use their space right there. They don't even have to leave campus. Find how you can work that piece to that big care system, those big healthcare systems or manufacturing systems. How can you get a piece of the pie? How can you be a part of that?
I feel like it could even break down to like who's mowing their lawn.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like who's mowing the doctor office's lawn, who's managing the parking lot, who's doing the trash services,
who's cleaning the floors, who's decorating the building. I mean, just get into figure out how do I get a piece of that and look at who's dominating the business and find out how do I get a part of it? How am I a part of that conversation?
And if you're going to start a pizza company, start it in a hospital.
That's right. Yeah, you could absolutely start it in a hospital.
One of the things that excited me most about this when Sam and I were talking about is the entrepreneurship, the journey, and all the different things and businesses, and you just think across the board of just in the Wabash Valley how many different types of businesses are all out there. But it's how they're all built, and what I think this podcast is going to do, and I'm so happy Christy sat on the first one and talking about this and like laying the groundwork for it is everybody's journey's different.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's story is different. Like what I'm most excited about is getting the people in and figuring out what everybody's journey is and what made them tick and what was that aha moment for them that they decided to. So
yeah.
And talking about those hard truths, what made him successful when they were in their corner of the room crying.
The hard truth is that I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Well, thank you
Thank
for your
you,
time.
guys.
It was very good to meet you. I hope we get to hang out more.
I'm sure we will.
Than
Thank
just
you.
while I'm on a podcast or dropping sandwich on the floor.
Yes, breaking chairs.
Breaking
Sorry,
chairs.
Jamie.
But it was really good to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too. Thank you. Thank
my
you,
network.
Shane.
Thank you for coming and being a part of this, and we'd be happy to. And we're trying to figure out how to word it. We don't have the exact terminology yet, but like the water. What would you say that was? The water bucket challenge or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Remember, you got the water dumped on you, and then you had to nominate. Like so we're looking to you to nominate
the next real deal.
Who do you think needs to be interviewed on here?
Oh gosh, there are so many amazing people in our community that I think you could nominate. I mean, I think Brandy at the Chamber would be amazing. Just because she's a wealth of knowledge. I think Chris Eggy would be awesome.
Yeah,
I've heard you mention that name.
Chris would be a great one. I do think you could tap into any of your successful business owners. I think Jen Petty has an amazing story. She's originally from Chicago and she's down here killing it. Michelle from Wellness First. I mean, I could go on and on with individuals.
You'll give us a list.
Yeah, I can give you a list of people
Okay.
that I think that you definitely could talk to in the community that are just making a difference. And, from for-profit to nonprofit to volunteers. And
you talked about it a little bit about just getting people to listen. So hopefully through this podcast, it gets it out there because we're going to be talking Wabash Valley businesses. We're not talking about Indianapolis. We're not talking about Illinois. We're talking about, I guess it could be Illinois, Wabash Valley, right?
Yeah.
We could go across, but it's just this local, business community of people. And
well, then maybe in return, hopefully that brings in a cohort of people, to supporting new business. I think sometimes businesses, we tend to look at each other as competition. We see 5 pizza places and we think that they're competition, but I think Sullivan's got a great way of they lean into each other. They support each other. And, I would say that even though there's 5 pizza places in town, they have a good connection and a good relationship between them. And so I think that's important is to understand that those relationships have to be built.
Very good. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Glad
good
you're
to
here.
meet you
Sam,
too.
good job.
Thank you.